Hey guys, how's it going? It's Mal from Melrose Hub coming at you guys live. This is our first ever live, so I'm a little nervous. Please help me. But today we're actually bringing on a special guest. I decided to exchange conversation with her, and she is amazing. I've admired her page for a while, and after a certain point I was just like, you know what, I've seen her so many times, let's just like shoot the shot and see if she's willing to come on and just have a quick chat. And I'm so grateful that she was willing to do so. I appreciate her time, and we can't wait to dive in and have an amazing conversation. We just want to keep it very brief and casual and just talk about everything that aligns with Melrose Hub. That being about wellness and leisure and just, supporting Black women as a whole in anything that we do. So I just wanted to take the pleasure of having this conversation with her. Her name is Beverly. She's an influencer. She is a Y2K fashion influencer. She's all about the maximalism. And I can't wait to talk and delve a little bit deeper into, the things that she enjoys and what inspires her fashion. So just taking a moment, we're going to have her join the live and we're just going to get to it. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you don't catch the live, I'm going to post it on the social medias. So you're free to enjoy and indulge as much as you want. So let's just get her on here. I'm so excited because guys, she's amazing. I can't wait to see what she's gonna be wearing because I just love her outfit choices. They have so much intention behind them. I love her color palette and how she intervals colors. So I'm really okay. It looks like she joined the live. Okay, let's get her on.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So good to have you. Thank you for joining.
Of course. I am in the process of moving. You're fine with my background looks so.
Say that one more time. Sorry.
Oh, can you hear me?
Hold on. Yeah, go ahead.
So I said I'm in the process of moving. That is why
Oh.
my background looks like that.
Okay, nice. Mind me asking where you relocated to? Because I know you're in New York, right?
I am in. I'm trying to make this like better, but I am in Brooklyn. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Are you staying in New York, or are you planning to branch out?
I like New York. I don't think I will be leaving.
So you planning to stay?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you know what? More power to you, girl. You're a Brooklynite, so you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So I'm glad that you could come on. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for, taking the time out to come chit chat with us. We're small, we're growing, but the point is to reach out to beautiful women like you and have that conversation. Just talk about you and get to know you more and, your impact in, just the community.
Yeah. Of course.
By the way, I love your look right now. I was just saying before you got, I'm like, I wonder what she's gonna be putting together because your looks are amazing.
I'm gonna stand up.
Yes. Give us a full 180.
Just a little black on black.
Okay. It's so cute. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just want to jump right in just because time is of the essence, and I want you to go about your day, but just want to get really deeply into your fashion because I feel like, do you feel like that is the forefront of you, or are there other aspects that you feel like you can express besides fashion?
I think I'm pretty much a multidisciplinary artist.
Mm-hmm.
Fashion is just I guess what's most popular about me, but I think I was a writer before all of that. I think writing inspired me to actually do fashion.
Oh,
So,
wow, okay.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
So writing definitely inspired me, and before that, I kind of was like an illustrator a little bit, but I never honed it in. I did it because it was soothing and cathartic. Oh, the whole journey for me literally started out of my imagination, of course, and wanting to be not me. And then like, and this like way of trying to escape myself, I actually like returned to myself, and it started off with like writing. When I was a kid, I used to love writing little stories. And then eventually, when I was ready to actually like confront myself, my physical body, I started like drawing a lot, and that was very cathartic for me. And then after that, when I went to school, I did creative writing for a while, and then I just like really hated the structure of it. So I did that. So then I like switched to like humanities, and I wrote, and I made my own major, and then I wrote about that. I decided to like focus on Black aesthetics, and that is like when I started the internet, or like started to do it quickly. And can you guys hear me?
Yeah, sound check. Can you guys hear her clearly?
Yeah, let me know if you can hear me.
Hey everyone joining. Thank you for coming into the live.
Let me know. Are we good? Yeah.
We just gonna assume that he does.
Okay.
I'm seeing some likes, so I'm assuming that's a yes. Okay, yeah, there you go. Yeah, they can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So then, like, that inspired me. I remember I was in 10th grade. I read The Fire Next Time by Baldwin, and then freshman year, they gave me The Fire This Time by Jesmyn Ward, and then after that, I read, like, Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates, and then, like, I just had this, like, for the first time, I had, like, this feeling of just, like, oh, I kind of understand the life that I'm living, and I kind of, like, finally have access to information to make it better. And it just like, I took this class that was like race in the visual fields. And then after that, I think I took a class that was just about like, it was like Black human, so my favorite professor ever. And she was just like exploring what it is to be Black and how that like falls inside like human, on a social level, on a personal level, on like a transcendent level. And all of that played a big part in the stuff that I decided to pay attention to. And of course, like there's Pinterest, there's like the easy parts of it, just like liking clothes and liking fashion, but everything has meanings to me. And like I like to say that my art is very political, and it is a statement, and that is definitely where it comes from. Just like this desire to like return to my body and no longer trying to escape it and no longer trying to disguise it and actually like embrace it. I'm being proud of it.
Yeah, got you. That's such a strong movement. And like I said, I sensed it, like just you having that intention behind the things that you wore. Like I was saying, I love your color palette. I love the way that you throw colors together, the patterns and the textures.
Yeah, that's definitely like very like inspired by just like being Haitian. I just remember like growing up, the buses, like what would be like a taxi, they were called like camionettes.
I know,
and
like vans, girls.
Yeah, they are like so colorful, and also I'm from an island, so it's just so colorful. And like I remember like my grandma used to plant flowers behind my room, and like it was my job to like water them every morning. And I just like color and like nature has always been like a very big part of it was a very big part of my childhood. And I feel like coming to America, that kind of like isolated that for me up there. And like the way I kind of like regained that connection was like through fashion, like just like trying to like remember the little pieces of what is salvageable from my childhood.
Got you.
And like making art out of it so I could like kind of soothe what that childhood was, and also kind of like glorify the things that I no longer have access to, which is like my home.
Got you.
Like, yeah.
So it's like it's giving nostalgic. There's like so much thought behind a lot of it. I can presume, because as a Caribbean girly myself, I'm from Trinidad, so I get it 100%. Like just the influence of your roots and culture, and like merging that together with your current life, being raised in New York City. Just the cultures just come together, and it just uses just a very intrinsic different type of fashion, which I could totally respect. So you were talking about school and stuff. Like, where did you go to college?
I went to NYU.
NYU? That is so dope. What did you study?
I made my major. I literally never remember what it was titled. It's so funny.
It's okay.
I think it's like I think if I remember clearly, it is navigating home on the body, a Black narrative, something like that. Because the whole point was, I think like by the time I was a senior, I kind of like, and I'd read enough, I'd done enough like anthropological studies, and like I'd read enough like sociology research, and like I just like done enough of the research to understand that like there's no such thing as home for Black people in society. Even in the way that we have culture and we have community is extremely difficult to like maintain, because like you'll be like, oh yeah, I have Black community, but then there's just like queer phobia, and of course like we always have a lot to learn, and we always have a lot to unpack every single time. I think that like this week, that is a lesson I had to learn. It's very difficult to process that, like, oh, I still have so much to work on and learn, and like, oh yeah, your little degree and your little like 4 years studying this stuff is not the same as actually having certain identities, and there are identities that I don't have. And it can be being put in a position to be the one that's like, oh yeah, you need to be taught and you need to learn. It's very difficult. But yeah, it's just like, I understood that we don't really have home in society. And for a lot of us, that is a really hard thing to cope with. And art is always an outlet, and it's one of the most famous outlets that saves Black people. Whether it's like with your words, with like your hands, with like whatever, like we just like, the reason why we're so good with it is because like we are silenced in every other way. Creativity is usually the only outlet where like, even you're still police during it, but like when you first birth that, that is yours. For the second that you have it, before it is shared with anyone else, that is yours. And it is your choice to decide if you want to share it or not. But I specifically fell in love with Black aesthetics, ghetto aesthetics, through Black women's lens, and just like how that was like just like a cry for not help, but like a cry to be heard. Like, you're gonna hear me, you're going to notice me. Because I remember the beginning of college, like it was the first time I navigated a PWI space. I was invisible, and I had never felt like that before. I had felt like I didn't belong before. I had felt like I didn't have community before, but I never felt like my body was just a shell. Like I was like not important at all. Like I didn't.
Just drifting in the back.
Like, so much. And like by the time I was a senior, and I would walk into these classrooms where like I would be one of the three only Black people in that room, I had my armor on. I had decided that I knew who I was by then, and that like, and I also had grown like a whole internet like platform that was like, we like you. It was just like, so it was kind of like I had been affirmed, and I've been affirmed by people who look like me, and I was brave about that. Like, it's just like, I had been affirmed by people who looked at me. I'd been affirmed by queer people. And I like then was taking this class about queer studies, and just like understanding what queerness is at its core. It's just like this like thing that transcends like, you know, just like the way that it is like about gender. And I love that we are focused on that. But like, there's so many layers of queerness, like disability, like race, that we don't talk about. And it was just like, it validated every single thing I'd ever felt in every room that I'd ever walked in. And just like having this and understanding that like I was not special for doing that. Black women have been doing that for generations, of just like curating an identity on their body and walking into a space that way, and not giving a fuck who approves of it or not. And just like being able to just be like, this is me, and this is me from like the deepest parts of my brain. This is me like outside of like the places where you can touch me. And I just found that beautiful and just so powerful.
Poetic, girl, poetic.
Like, I'm still doing that, and I love working with small Black artists, like, because it's kind of like, it becomes more ritualistic. It just becomes more than just like about what I have to offer and like who I am. It becomes about these people who see this thing in me and just being like, I want to aid you in your journey, and I want you to, I'm not going to hold you to the same levels of deservingness that the rest of society does.
Yeah.
And that is so validating. And I find that I do my best work with this type of people, with that kind of life. Hello.
Like, can you hear me? There you go. Sorry. It's giving like real world experience. It's giving growth. It's giving so many levels and layers of your life that you've experienced, and it shaped you on so many levels and your perspectives and how you see things. And it's just a matter of like, do you want to share that? Do you want to experience that with other people? And I feel like that ecosystem that you're building, that community that you're building, it's so vital. It's so important. Like, we need that so much more in the community of women, Black women, you know, just as a whole. So I hear you 100% on that. Like, I feel like we need more, honestly. And I feel like what you're doing in your fashion and the way that you're translating your messages, it's amazing. You know, you couldn't ask for anything better. And I feel like you're just passing it on, and we're just going to grow even bigger. So I support the movement 100%. And I hear you 100% on that. Like, do you, with fashion and just the knowledge that you gain, how do you feel like, if you were to look back at yourself years ago before you transitioned into this person, what would you say to that person?
Oh, wow. Don't make me cry. I'll be like, you do not need to be the smartest person in the room. Or I would not only say that, I would be like, you are not the smartest person in the room. I would say you are a victim, but it is not, that does not excuse you victimizing other people. Your ego, arrogance is not protection. It's just vile and cruel. I know, like, people assume that, like, I think just because of how I present, people just like, they just like assume that I've always been warm, but that is a skill that I've learned. It's an empathetic skill that I've learned. Yes, with experience and with research. I think like me and like the person that you're asking me to describe is like 14 and in high school. So just for like clarity of like where I'm talking about, I was deeply afraid of a lot of things, and I just like I was not able to understand why anything was happening, and like that lack of information, and just like that like disabled type of disoriented navigation of life was just it was a lot. And
it is.
I was very angry, and I definitely took it out on people around me. And then I would be like, why don't I have community? I never really like took myself down enough to like contemplate, because like for me it was just kind of like fighting to get up. It was all that's what I felt like I always had to do. It was just like, oh, nobody's paying attention to me, nobody cares about me, nowhere ever. And it just was like, how do I get to a place where that feeling, I didn't even want to be cared about. I just wanted to get to a place where that feeling didn't matter anymore. And I think I had like a crazy, ugly, disgusting breakdown when I was in 11th grade. And they're like, you get suspended or you go to therapy. And I was like, you're gonna mess up my dream of going to Yale, because I thought I was gonna go to Yale. I was like, I'll go to therapy, and I went and I sat down. But like, I always did this thing where I'm very self-aware, I've been told. So as soon as I walked into the office, so I was like, you want to know what's wrong with me? This is what's wroong with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And like,
girl, who you telling? 100%. Like, I literally was talking to my roommate. I was just like, listen, my therapist just reaffirmed everything I was feeling.
Like, and then like she was like, and then like when we got to the part of like, oh, you are extremely hard on yourself. And like she was like, where does that come? I told her where that comes from. She was like, but we need to work on that. I'm like, no, I'm gonna be perfect, and you're not gonna stop me. And then literally like a year later, and it's like around the same time of year, and I got my rejection letter from Yale, and it didn't hurt. I was just like, oh. I was just like, I was able to appreciate what I got and able to let go what I didn't. And I think that was the first really important skill that I needed to learn in order to be like a somewhat functioning adult. And I'm really proud of myself for like, I don't know, like I had a very shitty school experience, and a lot of it was not my fault, and a lot of it was my fault. But I'm glad to like that assistant principal who was like, Miss Humes, who was like, yeah, you need to go to therapy. Like, you need to talk to somebody, like so needed. And I love that, like that was a tool that my school provided. I was like surprised that they even had that, but I was very grateful, and I learned a lot of tools that inspired me to go research. And of course, I've always been somebody who like financially was not able to afford that. So when I tried to afford therapy on my own, they're like, oh, you're too poor for that. I was like, oh, thank you for letting me know. So I was like, but then like it just like inspired me to like use that awareness to pay attention on how I was impacting people, not just how I was being impacted by life. And I am really proud of myself because now I have a very good community, and like I have a lot of people who, because this year has been one of the hardest years in my life as well. And I thought I had done all of this like learning, but then like it turned into this thing of like I still struggled to ask for help. I still struggled to even know when I needed help. And like, just seeing people that cared about me show up for me, and like show up for me like so like intentionally, I just like, yes, I had a big down about it. I'm so sorry, I did. I was like, no, I'm supposed to be the one that is good and helps and does like that, but it doesn't work that way. And it doesn't work that way, but like it's okay to also need, and like I think like life, I've been paying close attention to what the universe wants me to learn. And I think like that was the lesson I guess I needed to learn. And I'm like,
But can we just take a second to just pat ourselves on the back and say, we did that, like you did that, like you made it through so many obstacles. I don't think as Black women we get a chance to like really sit down and process just so many things that have happened to us. Like I'm learning that right now. And so just taking a second to say, girl, you did that. Like, girl, you made it through the mud. You made it through. Like anything that was thrown at you, you figured out a way to rise from it and just grow. And you're still growing, but it's for the better. It's for the better. And you're going to be great. And you're still, you're going, but you're going to be great.
I truly do appreciate it.
Yes, we need it. We need it. And so it's also like surreal, like just the transition of being from one place to another, and just the drastic changes that you've had, like in your community that you're growing right now. What would you say is like your main focal point of what you want to convey to your audience?
Gratitude. I am so grateful for everyone and every aspect of my life right now. I am grateful for the people who like are intentional in the way that they show me support, who are intentional in the way that they like, in the way that they receive me, and for my people who are in my personal life, intentional in the way that they care about me and the way that they show up with that care. Because I feel like I desperately need that right now, and I am not comfortable with that need. It's very hard. Like any little thing, like my brain is gonna be like, so we hate ourselves and we don't deserve anything. I'm just like, no, wait, we don't do that anymore. We don't do that.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
So it's just like, like being in such a fragile space, like it's just like, I am so grateful for the people who like, who show up for me. And I'm so grateful, like, but like for the online, I think I made a video about it on TikTok the other day where I was just like, a lot of people will be in my DM who will be like, you inspire me so much, and I am beyond grateful for that like anybody even sees me and they're like, oh, there's something to take from here. But like there's also this thing of like, oh, I am not doing something for you. Your celebration of me is why this space exists. If we all did that for each other more often, like less people, specifically marginalized people, would feel the discomfort and restriction of just like existing. And I want us to like remember that, like, every time you see that girl that kind of looks like you and you go, I freaking love you for being yourself. You can do that for yourself. And also, like, that space, it's like in that comment section, in that post, are so many people who also look like you, who also are looking for community. What I don't like is when, because I'm only one person, I cannot be all of your friends. I'm so sorry. I mean, like 10,000
if only you can multiply yourself a few times, you know? Here, take a piece, take a piece.
And nobody, like, and they just, like, love my art, and I love that we have created space for that art to have meaning. Or, because, like, I created and it means something to me, of course, but, like, on a social level, if you don't care about it, then, like, it doesn't really mean anything to society. So, like, for that space to be created is something I will always be grateful for. But I am so I cannot offer my personal body, personality, life as like a transactional thing for that. I can't.
You can't be the therapist for your audience, for sure.
And people have been telling me, like, maybe the solution for that is like maybe making more longer form content and letting people get to know me a little bit more. And I think that I'm ready to make that investment. Into my community. I do think that there are some lessons I've learned that sharing my, like, because I write a lot of like paragraphs in my stories sometimes. I call it lazy writing, because, you know, college was a lot. I only graduated a year ago, so I was just like, wow, I don't have time to write like essays, but I think that I'm ready to do that again. And people were always like, I feel like this captures so much of what I mean. And like, I love those messages. They're like, I feel like this captures so much of how I feel. I've had this feeling for so long, and like, I've never been able to put it into words. So I do really want to invest in that, like making that sort of content eventually. But I cannot be your friends. I cannot enable parasocial relationships with me, because I am not the sweet, gonna make your life, like, I don't know, like, what people like are perceived, but I a lot of the time I'm like, people who know me would very much disagree. I can be very intense and very dark, and it's just like, and very repetitive with it too. So it's like,
I mean, but you have your community, and I feel like because you've grown it so much, now it's like the time to fortify it and just, you know, lock in all the people that are for you, and, you know, figure out the people that are not for you, and solidify everything that you have going on. So if you need to expand, you know, maybe it's time to make that jump.
Why is the sunlight playing games? I'm gonna turn on the light. Do not mind my empty room.
In the meantime, thank you all for joining the live. Welcome. If you guys have any comments or anything, I know you guys are all part of you know, Beverly, so, you know, drop a comment, say hi, whatever the case is, you know, comments are open. But yeah, I mean, in terms of your community and yourself, because the focus should always be yourself first, like, how do you feel you've been able to cope with all of just everything that's happening? Because I feel like everyone has simplicity, and there's people who have all of these obstacles around them. How do you handle the obstacles? How do you deal with 1,000,001 things being thrown at you while still trying to maintain your health and your well-being?
I think that a tool that my brain has just like naturally like learned over the years, that is like, it's not overrated, it's not underrated. It's kind of like we don't pay attention to how it factors, but patience. Like, we are taught to be patient with other people, but I don't think it's like emphasized to be patient with yourself. Especially if you're somebody like me who suffers like with like a lot of anxiety, specifically like social anxiety, and like you feel like pressured to be somewhere, to do something. Cause I'm so sorry, like the therapy from high school did not cure that. I still am to somewhat level that girl that still wants to be That was to like solidify and be stable. And it just was like I keep chasing stability, and stability is like, you're not gonna catch me. And I'm
it's
like,
tough.
I am.
Yeah.
And it's like being patient. And like I also saw this video from this like Black woman the other day, and she was saying how you have a planting season, a nurture season, and a harvesting season. And I don't know, like that is very valuable, because I think like during your planting season, you often feel so much dread because you know like where you want to be and you are not seeing it happen, and that can be so difficult to deal with, so difficult steps from life. And it's just like, it's okay, you are doing the work that you are supposed to do, and literally all you have to do is wait. And I'm just like, I hate waiting. Why?
Yeah, it's easier said than done. Like putting in that practice is it's too much. Like it puts a dampening on you.
I just feel like I've also had like a lot of very big feelings this year. So it's just been a lot like after that, like dealing with the aftermath has always been like, okay, so we know how we feel, and we know how long it's for us to like move to our feelings. So like I try not to over anticipate the like hurt, the pain, the whatever is gonna happen, and I just sit. And then I do the journaling, and then I do, honestly, like posting on Instagram. Like, honestly, I love being able to, I even wrote about it the other day. I said, a lot of the stuff you're seeing me post lately is literally me trying to display on my body all of those things that I feel like get just so stuck on my chest, and I do not know how to say them without being dishonest, or without just like undoing so much work that I've done. So it's just like I have this outlet, and I have this like medium that allows me to captivate these specific feelings in a visual sense, and that is usually so soothing for me. So like focusing on that is really important. And then I twisted my ankle, and I was like,
oh no,
God, why is this thing that I love? Why do we need
I don't know. I'm hearing it. Everybody's going through it in 2023. I don't know what it is. Something is in the air, but you know, we all going through it.
It's a lot. And then I twisted my ankle, and then it refused to heal. And I was just like, I have so many feelings right now. I want to stand up and go.
Yeah.
It's just like going through these things, and it's just like, no, you have to sit and heal and be like, you and this patience, always patience. Like, but no, like that's how I argue with myself. I just feel like, so I'm just like, I'm learning so much, and I'm just like, I think I'm like in a healing like bubble, and I have to accept that healing also means rest. Yeah.
Taking it easy on yourself, you know? Thinking about today, you did all you can, and tomorrow we'll figure it out when we get there.
It's just like, and you want to know something? A lot of those times when I just be like, okay, I did the thing that I am supposed to do. Now and if I actually let it go, guess what happens? The thing that I wanted to start showing up is just like, oh, you were
you wouldn't even think about me, and here I am.
Like it's not even that like, oh, that is what makes it happen. It's more so like, I just feel also a thing I really loved about that queer class. It like we spent a couple of sessions talking about how time works, and just like when your mind is going through time with anxiety, it can feel so dreadfully long. And when you're just like practicing mindfulness and understanding that like patience is important. Somehow the time just be flying by. And like at first, like patience is uncomfortable, but once you let your body get accustomed to it, the time just be flying by. Because like you then have the vision to focus on the things that are actually like that make you feel good. And I think a lot of times we think that life is about doing painful things to be happy instead of but when it really is a balance of, oh, we have to do the painful things to like navigate surviving, but we also have to do things that make us feel good. Because if you spend your entire life just doing painful things for surviving, for a mission, like, oh my God, like you're gonna be so resentful towards yourself when you make it to that space, and when you have that thing you are fighting for. So it's important to do things that make us feel good, to laugh, to love, to laugh, to even laugh.
Live, laugh, love. Yes. All those things. All those things, girl.
Yeah.
So like, it's just in hindsight, like, I think everybody's been making the statement of trusting the process. And I think we all really need to start putting that into practice and really trust the process here and allow your hard work to eventually give you the fruit, you know, give you what you deserve and what you've been working towards, you know. Thinking about it so much, it just puts like a damper on everything that you feel, like that imposter syndrome coming to you, and you're just like, why is it not enough? Why is it not working? Why am I not here yet? You know? And just seeking out all these other things that, you know, make the process even harder. So just trust the process, you know, keep doing what you're doing, living your life. And, you know, if you feel like you're doing the right thing, trust your gut and your intuition.
Yeah.
Intuition is so important.
Exactly.
You know? So if you feel like it's right,
anxiety and intuition, they don't really go together.
They don't. Anxiety just like, hey girl, how you doing? Like, you thought it was good.
Like, are you sure about that? Like, are you really sure?
Yeah.
Like, also, even through that process of just like, because I was reading the question list that you sent me, and one of those things was like, how do you, like, I'm sorry, I'm moving your head, but you were like, how do you successfully like navigate, like move throughout the world with confidence? And I do not do that. If I was waiting for somebody who, my feelings have a really long lifespan, I like to say, I feel things really like really intensely for a really long time, and I had to at some point like accept that that is just like the reality, my reality.
Yeah.
And if I was waiting to be confident to do anything, I would never do anything. You need audacity to do the thing and to commit to doing the thing even when you're not sure. And it also, like, we need to stop seeing shame as this like block of like this thing that is, you know, like shame is not correct, right? Like it is this thing that is just like, that is like an accurate representation of like what is actually happening. It is just a trigger of somewhere in your mind and your brain that like, where like you have been taught that like, oh, that's not okay.
So, just that feeling of like humility. Like there's nothing wrong with humility. For all the spiritual people out there, humility is one of those things that you should be aligned with. So
I think for like fat people specifically, understanding that your shame is often a result of having your body being closed in and like hyper like analyzed and criticized. I remember like till this day, like when I eat in public, I am thinking about everything my body is doing, everybody who's looking, because as a fat person, I'm not allowed to eat because I already ate enough. You know, like that's my position. And just like being a dark-skinned woman, like just like when you walk into like any sort of room, like feeling like, oh, I already know nobody here is going to like see me as that special. So like, why even try? So it's like, if we wait till like our brains decide that, oh no, you do deserve, you are like you, it's gonna take a long time. It's about like with those shit. It's also, confidence is a skill. You will not, like, it is not, and it's not a thing you can successfully siphon off of other people. If you take it from other people and you don't do any actual work internally to like sustain it, it'll actually hurt you, because it's not even a sustainable thing. It's like this thing that's, at least the way we talk about it, is not a sustainable thing. Like the way of like, oh, fake it till you make it. It's not about faking it. It's about accepting where you are and starting from. It's like,
got you.
because I remember when I first started doing this, I was like, I don't really know what the fuck I'm doing. And I would post it and I'm like, this doesn't look good, but I'm going to leave it up. And eventually I got better and I got better and I'm still getting better. And also, like, so many people value you being able to do that out loud. And I feel like that is the thing we should like try to siphon off of other people. There are so many people. What I love about like social media is that it allows you access to so many people doing their awkward process out loud. Of course, there are the people who do it who like started on this app like perfectly, and they've just been doing it perfectly because they don't want you to see, you know, their struggle. They don't want you to see section. I don't want to be one of those people. I want you to see the times when it's really good, the times when it's not that good, and the times when it's just okay, because it's a process. I'm human, and it's very important to me that like you understand that I am a human, that I am doing this thing, and that I am learning and growing at it, and I will get better. My skills will improve as I do this, and like there will be a visual history of that for you to refer back to.
A journal entry. There you go.
Yeah, like as an artist, as a human, we often, especially the way society is structured, like the way white supremacy has structured society, makes us feel like you're supposed to erase your work once you get the answer, because the answer is what matters. But like, you need to keep a history of the work, and I said this on TikTok too. Like, you need to keep a history of your bad art so you can understand what you were trying to convey, and eventually you will get the skills to make it come to life the way you actually meant to. So like getting rid of it is cheating yourself out of creativity, and I'm just like, creativity is not an endless pool. Confidence is not an endless pool. There is a real world out there who will try to negate you, who will try to suppress your identity, who will try to make you feel like you do not these are not things you are making up in your head. They are real things. It is real oppression.
Absolutely.
And like, but at the end of the day, you are alive. You're breathing, and that's enough reason to do. And that's enough to take up space, and that's enough reason to awkwardly navigate. And to be, and I always say that, like, you don't have to forgive people if you don't want to, but the only person you should always have space to forgive is yourself. I feel like you cannot be right now.
Deep thought enter.
Sure. And it's just like, it's hard. It's really hard to forgive.
Yeah.
It's like, it's hard to, like, because it takes, like, being able to separate from your body to, like, muster that kind of empathy for yourself if it's not natural.
Yeah.
But you have to be able to yourself. You have to be able to accept a less and more from yourself. Like, it's okay that you missed the mark. It's okay that you missed the mark. Trying is okay, but also it's okay that you want to put more effort in. It's okay that you want it to look different. It's okay that you make that happen, that you achieve that. And I want us to just like be able to validate ourselves through the process, be like very like meticulously attentive to just how that process actually like goes, instead of just like, no, it's supposed to look like Bevy's. It's supposed to look so and so. If it's not, then it's not good. No, man. This is my process. This is not what it's gonna look like for you. What confidence looks like for me, what I have learned is very specific to a life that I have lived that you have no idea about. So like holding yourself to a standard like that is so completely unfair.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I feel going as far as to saying, you know, breaking generational curses, like just the crazy amount of trauma and stress that has been passed along from our families and their families, and just going back to slavery and just that mindset of like, this is who you have to be, like being beaten down and oppressed in the way that you feel and look, like you're not human anymore. And I think bringing that back to us, being human again, we've always been human, but I think we ourselves have to learn to instill that.
Social condition, like
exactly. Yeah, definitely. And then growing beauty standards and things are ever changing. I think we've come a long way. We're still working towards a way, but I feel like I've seen so much beauty and nuance in the community, especially with Black women, and how much we've changed and evolved into our own, and still learning. Do you feel like sometimes me personally, I've like learned to like try to figure out how to combat it. But in the past, even now, do you feel like you find yourself comparing or like looking at other things and, you know, saying maybe this is, you know, this is for me, blah, blah, blah? Or do you feel like you've kind of figured out a way to counteract that? Or
I'm gonna like refer back to like the question list and like collaborated with what you just asked me. I remember like and like part of it was like the beauty industry. The beauty industry is expensive. It's not. It is not extending. Beauty capitalism is restructuring how beauty works so that it can stay what it is. And it can continue to keep us chasing the ideal that is beauty on a social level. I think what beauty is so personal and it's so intimate that like for us to like need a collective to set rules to decide what it is so completely insane. And when it comes to like, and I wanted to say that, and then now I'm gonna answer the question you asked. I do compare myself to my peers, and sometimes I do feel not envy, but I do feel shame. And it isn't, but the thing that I do about that, right, is I understand that, again, I'm being unfair to myself. I don't believe that we can control our bodies and our brains to the point where we have no negative information, no negative thoughts. It's all about like just like being quick and not letting it turn into resentment and not letting it turn into entitlement. Not entitled to anybody else's success, to anybody else's like great moment. That is their great moment. I may want a great moment, but I am always very specific with my that I want my great moment, and I am prepared to work and wait for my great moment. But when I feel like, you know, that need of like, oh, this is so good, why can't I do it that good? I just go about like, oh, that's not true. I didn't do it. My friend, my beautiful friend. Like, you are not starting the same place from everyone else. And like, not only that, you have no idea where they're starting. So
got you.
Like, it's just like sometimes we feel like we understand all these things about people that just like are projections, based on like just how our brains have navigated life and like that it knows what's happened in somebody else's life, how somebody's gotten there, why somebody's good at something. That has nothing to do with me. And it's just like, but I also am not always successful at keeping my body from feeling the feeling of I wish I could do it that good. Or I wish I was this great. But what I do take it as is motivation. Whenever I don't think jealousy is a bad feeling. Jealousy is an indicator of what you want from yourself. So when I feel like, oh, I want this too, that is my cue to work harder and to just like, I take that as motivation. I want success, so I'm gonna work for it. I want, you know, skill, so I'm gonna put in the work for it. It's not that I'm gonna sit here and be like, oh, you don't deserve it because this and this, and I'm not gonna sit here like I don't know. Oh no, actually, I never used to do that. But there are people who sit and just like make up all of these imaginary excuses for why somebody doesn't deserve something, knowing absolutely nothing about that person. And I just find that crazy. Actually, it's not crazy. I take that back. But I just like find that like very unhelpful and just like a rabbit hole of you actually exhaust yourself before you can get to the side where your body is able to let you know that it is you who wants success. It is you who wants this thing. And instead of focusing on that and like focusing on how you get it, you're focusing on why they have it. And it's just like that. It's unhelpful.
It is. It's funny because I'm reading this book. It was a recommended. It's called I can never pronounce it. I think it's the Kabbalion. Is it Kabbalion? Kabbalion? It's basically talking about Hermes and just the concept, the root of, you know, religion and everything. And what it mentions is just a spectrum of that. Everything has a spectrum. It's unfortunate that we have to experience the negative sides of it.
Yeah.
But in life, there's always that spectrum of good and evil, light and dark.
Yeah.
You know, good. It's just there's always that spectrum. But the point is, there's a middle point in that spectrum. And I think, and for humanity, we have to find the balance, which is part of the spectrum. So we will experience negativity, we will experience positivity, but it's more so like when we continuously lose ourselves, we usually will drift into the negativity. And so finding yourself,
I've been really into reading lots of stuff about narcissism lately. I don't know, I was just like, I feel like there's this like notion that people who work on the internet are narcissists. And like, just because of like honestly, it is a space where you have to spend a lot of time thinking and looking at yourself. Thinking about yourself, looking at my engagement, my picture, is this good? Oh, I spend a lot of time looking at myself, and it can be exhausting at times. So I was like, oh my God, have I got some narcissistic try? And of course I do, but we're not gonna talk about that. But it's just kind of like this thing of confronting that about myself, and also like, like just seeing how a lot of like, even the people who are talking about just narcissists like are showing like narcissistic traits and stuff like that. And I feel like, oh my God, this must be one of the most underdiagnosed like personality disorders ever, because there's so many people who just like do things in a certain way. It's just like it's not about you. Like it's like, but like, and I was like reading about the root of it all, right? And like a lot of like narcissism kind of like extreme like childhood trauma. And like I read like this really good article that said like when a child is unable to get their needs met by reality or like people like their caregivers, then they turn to themselves, then they go quiet, and then they turn to themselves, then they become self-absorbed, and they withdraw from reality completely. And then like that is like how that's like
the disassociation, you just completely devoid of
it's from reality, and then you don't even notice that it happens. Nobody notices that it happens because they were not paying attention to begin with. And then like you just get stuck in a psychological war with yourself, just like, and we have so little empathy. So when I was reading it, I was like, this is fun. Like, what do you mean you can't hear this? Like, I was just like, oh my God, this is so awful. And then like there are these people like who make like all these videos, narcissists are evil and cruel, and I'm just like,
we got a lot of internet doctors out there. We got a lot of internet therapists.
It's like if you did a little bit of reading, you would realize just how complex of a thing it is. And you realize that this person is not necessarily hurting you because they want to hurt you. It's more so like this is how they just navigated a relationship with themselves, and they only know how to treat people how they treat themselves. And it's like, wow, to never have peace and to never, and be like telling me it's incurable. I was just like, like, so then it made me really like it made me like think about when I started, because I think I definitely did that as a child. I was just from reality. I think I definitely still dissociate sometimes. But I think that I don't know when I started caring about empathy and accountability, but I care a lot about these things. And those are like, that is where I stop on that spectrum. Where it's like, I'm able to understand that I can hurt, and I'm able to understand it's not always about me. And I'm able to understand that like sometimes cycles need to end. But I did withdraw from reality. And I think for a really long time I just was living in my head. Like it is very common for me to like not speak to other people for a long time, and to just like, you know, like that thing that we do where like, oh, like we replay arguments, we play scenarios with people where we wish we'd argued. And like we just like say all the things we would have said. Like I do that so much. And it's just like, and it's just kind of like, and to learn that could also hurt me, and that like it's important to like go touch grass and to get to know actual people, and to like not just decide that I know what they're gonna do and who they're going to be before I get to know. It's been a really important skill. Like imagination is great. Now I forget what we started talking about.
It's all good. Disassociating and all that. And it's funny because being in therapy, we talk about there's so many intricacies with narcissism, but then also with disassociating all that, like you're constantly in survival mode.
Yeah.
When you've been with trauma, you want to turn off the trauma. But at the same time, everything is so heightened. Like you I don't know about you, but my sense is always heightened. I smell everything, I hear everything, I get irritated easily sometimes. And it's just like the best way you can do that is to the fight or flight. It's just like, I'm just constantly going. So when you're experiencing that, it makes it very difficult for you to stay in the now and in the moment and focus on all the things that are happening around you, because all you want to do is just escape. So I get it. That's real.
I have a little mantra. I go, I touch my body, like my physical body, and I go, you are not a child anymore. You are not helpless anymore. You have the tools and the language. I touch my foot. I'm like, you have the tools and the language to, to actually engage with reality as it is happening. And I don't know, like, the way you speak to yourself really does alter, like, how your brain understands you. And, like, if you're like, oh, I'm horrible. I used to do those self-deprecating jokes a lot. I still do them sometimes. I'm like, I don't think it's always that serious, but it could be like, damn, girl, everybody's worried about you. One of my mutuals, I think, like, their ad is Midwest from Bimbo, and, like, they're like, bestie, your president's like that funny. They're worried about you. So I was like, I'm worried about me too.
Oh Lord.
Just like,
I mean,
it's important to be able to, because before my brain goes like, oh yeah, so this is why that happened, and this is like how that's happening, and this is what I should have done, and then spending like weeks and days, like going over and over and over. I just go, I am not a child anymore. I can speak, I can do, and I'm not powerless anymore. And it's just like, it's making me very sad to like feel like that ever happened at all. But like reconnecting to that wounded child that was so heavily silenced in so many ways, and was not granted a voice until I was probably like 17 and in college. And even like, going to the therapy, that was literally mandatory, or I would have been suspended for like 30 days, and that would have been a permanent record. So it's like, it wasn't until like I started reading and writing more like Black authors in college that I realized, oh, a lot of people have felt this way. This is not like, Black theory is so healing if you can't afford therapy. I think like just the way like people who've done research about just like the history of just like how people have navigated Blackness even before it was even a thing is so entirely helpful in helping you like not feel so alone in the world, and helping like not so targeted, which is what I feel like narcissists get stuck in their head. Is just like they never get out of the world is out to get me, because the child, I don't know, like I'm projecting, I don't know too much. I'm not a psychiatrist.
It's okay. We're talking. Sometimes we're gonna whatever. But I see where you're coming from 100%, and I feel like that's what you're saying is, I feel like a lot of people do feel that, and they don't necessarily know how to verbalize it the best way. And so going along the lines, just small plug with Melrose Hub, I feel like that's what we're trying to foster. And that's what I'm trying to grow with the organization, allowing women to foster how they heal, wellness. And there's so many aspects you can experience that with. I think one aspect that is underrated is leisure. Leisure, I feel like, can foster so much imagination. Imagination leads to creativity, and creativity leads to innovation and ideas. And I feel like with Blackness, it's the blueprint. I'm sorry, I'm gonna die on that hill. Blackness is the blueprint. Everybody looks at us and they want to see what we doing, and they want to do it too. And at the end of the day, like, we've been losing it so much, and we need to gain it back. And there's so many ways that we can do it. And the way that Melrose Hub is planning to do it is just through leisure, allowing women to authentically be themselves, go out into the world and learn these things without the judgment of others saying, why are you doing that? Like, you're a Black girl, you're supposed to do this. And she's like, no, I want to learn how to make a bouquet. I want to learn how to, sip some tea, look cute, cottagecore, whatever you want to do. Like, if that's going to allow you to grow and develop creatively and put out great ideas along with everybody else, then by all means, we're here to support that. So I definitely see where you're coming from. I love it. I support it 100%. I'm backing you. Like anything that you're doing, 100% behind you. So, you know, yes, like we need to give more recognition to each other. We need to give ourselves a little bit more leeway and not be so hard on, you know, every action that we make. It's okay. Sometimes we make bad choices. We learn from them, we grow, and we become better, you know? So I definitely hear you 100%.
And like, also, I want to say like the reason why I brought up like the thing about the mechanism and the training is like a lot. I did Fashion Week a bit this year.
How was that?
It was good and it was. So like it was just like
I see social media. So
So like there's like these models who are just like walking around saying like, oh yeah, like I don't know why everybody needs to be here. I was just like, wow.
Okay.
And they were black. And I was just like,
wow.
Specifically for you to be a black person monitoring who's allowed to enter a space, like to be like monitoring the door. And like knowing that argument is mostly going to affect people who look like you is crazy to me. But then it's not that crazy because the thing that happens, right, when imagination leads to creativity, a lot of artists get stuck there and they forget empathy comes after it too. It's like creativity, it's like imagination, creativity, then empathy for the innovation to be meaningful. And it's like,
absolutely,
because the moment you go, I'm too good and nobody is as good as me, or if you are not as good as me, then you are irrelevant, you don't matter. That is the moment you lose the plot, and that is the moment you become kind of irrelevant too, because what is the point of, we are a community. There's this thing that happens that like blackness is structured like in society where anything any one black person does is kind of like just like a note or like what another black person is going to do, and it's so completely unfair. But unfortunately, we are responsible for each other in that way, and like and that is like it could be burdensome, but that is something you ought to navigate with care. You cannot be entering these spaces with like where black people are we're still struggling to get footing, and then telling the upholders of that structure that you don't think that they need to let more people in. Like the next year there's no black people at Fashion Week, and it's just like, oh, why is there no black people at Fashion Week? They're racist. You literally told them that. You literally told them, why is everybody getting it? It's just like, of course, the first people they're gonna want to kick out is people who look like you. And I just feel like a lot of artists get to that space. Oh, I was saying that I also was talking about how as an artist, it's really important to have a healthy ego. You need the ego to like award you certainty because like you need that. That's the kind of confidence I feel like people mistake for personal confidence for me. Sometimes it's more so that I know that I want to see what this looks like, and I want to make it come out of my brain successfully. And I'm not really thinking about other people. I'm not really thinking about like the world around me in that part, right? And that's the part people are like, how do you do that? This one is like, I think about it as art. I don't think about my body I see my body as a tool in some cases, but sometimes it does penetrate to the personal, where it's kind of like, because it's still my body. I'm still like a person, right? And it's just kind of like, then I have to deal with it, and then I have to like, pep talk myself and all of that stuff. But a lot of people leave a healthy ego and go into this space of, now I know how to set the rules. And I like know who and what deserves to be here, and my rhetoric is enough to make it's just like they forget nuance. And it's just like,
you're given the authenticity. I think that next to imagination is one of the tools I feel like that can lead to success. Authenticity and wholly being yourself in your best ability. I know a lot of times, like as a perfectionist, you want a certain image, you want things to look a certain way, you're meticulous, you're looking at the fine details, but in reality, people look at surface level first because that's what they have access to. They're going to see what you're presenting to them and they're going to take it at face value. So I think in reality, what I practice is like, people will see me and they'll make their notions and their judgment, but in reality, I know what happens behind that door, behind that camera. And that's what you have to leave with. Like, you come back and you give all your authenticity. I would hope that people are genuinely being themselves, but in reality, that's not always the case. But being authentically yourself comes first. That creativity, authenticity. There's so many other recipes to it, but I think people should start focusing on that, that part, and executing that a little bit more strongly, you know, at the forefront. Just authenticity. Be real, you know, take accountability, you know. So yeah, I definitely feel like you're in a good place in terms of where you're heading. Like, you're glowing, you're blossoming. I can see that you feel like, I don't know if you feel, I don't want to speak for you, but I hope that you feel like you're in a good place in terms of your progress and where you're going in life.
Yeah.
Which will lead me to my final question. Where do you see yourself? Do you have like a goal? Like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Like, where do you see yourself maybe in 2 years?
Sorry. Ooh, you're asking of us for ADHD.
No. Take it bite size. What you gonna do? You have YouTube? What's going on?
So like, part of me sees when I was ending my so basically, like, the way that the individualized studies program at NYU is set up, it's kind of like a pre-doctoral type of program where it's kind of like, you can expand on this and make it and get a doctorate degree in it. And like, part of me really wants to take that to anthropology and just like dive so deeply into like Black culture and like the different spaces, and just like go to different countries and just see how Black immigrants are like being innovative, how are they being created and stuff like that. And then part of me wants to go to LA for like costume design and just like, you know, like take social media over there and also write and style a TV show that's like about a Black youthful experience that I feel like I haven't seen before.
Yeah.
And which one of them will I do? We don't know. Part of me wants to stay in New York. Like,
can I make an inquiry and say that you should definitely write a book? Even if it's nonfiction or not, still tying a piece of yourself with it, because I would definitely read it. Like, there's so many intricacies.
I've been trying to write a book since I was 12, and like, I think like when I was 14, I was like, okay, I need life experience. That's what's getting in the way. And
have you heard of Wattpad?
Oh, please, I was on Wattpad. Please, I was posting.
I'm just saying, like, you know, flesh your thoughts out. Wattpad is like draft central, you know.
Somebody left me a comment before, like, because before I was like, yeah, don't I look like I used to write stories on Wattpad? They're like, you do.
No, Wattpad gives me life. I feel like it's draft central. Like, if you need to put your rough drafts, do what you gotta do. Like,
I hope no. Oh, may nobody ever find these rough. They're rough, but I was like 11. I was like crazy, but I think that when I'm 21. I turned 22 in November.
Okay.
When I turn 30, I think that I want to write the book. I think that I want to do more school. I want more access to information, more life experience. If I wrote a book, it would just be halfway through now. Like, I think that there are so many skills that I just did not have, that I'm still struggling to master. So many skills that I haven't learned. So much to learn about myself and to learn about my community. I think that I want to do more queer exploration in every way, but specifically just like, I have a lot of community within queer people, but I think I want to practice empathy there, because I don't know, like, something that happened like last week really like, it made me cry, and I was like, oh, I had a really hard time trying to understand, like, if I was allowed to take some of the stuff personally, personally, and if it was also like, oh, is my privilege being enacted in this way and like stopping me from understanding what's happening? And I want to do more work there. I want to like practice empathy more there. I want to listen more, because I don't want to write this book. I don't want to write this show, to make this show without like a very educated, very like careful, thoughtful, like inclusion of queerness in it. Mm-hmm. And yes, I understand blackness, and I understand like womanhood, and I'm exploring being somebody who is non-binary and like what that means to me and what I need to unlearn to keep that to honor that identity. Mm-hmm. So I want to learn more. I want to listen to my friends tell me more about life. I want to talk to more people about what it means to them. I want to listen to more of the criticism people have for me. Mm-hmm. It's not easy. It will definitely make me cry. But
no, it's
the eyes will die, and then like we will process. But I have a lot of learning to do and a lot of growing to do. And I don't know if I will get to a space where I feel like I'm ready before I'm 30, but I don't know. I feel like giving myself the end of this decade before I do that is probably better, because I will really cry if I write this book and people are like,
I mean,
left out.
Listen.
Yeah.
That's life, girl. That's life.
That's true.
Yeah. But I definitely would like to leave you with a recommendation.
Please do.
Because you mentioned about just growing and like just solidifying yourself in views, and I feel like a lot of points in this book has definitely given me a lot more perspective about that aspect, you know, pronouns and just being non-binary, all those things. I think it definitely did give me insight. I think as I read along and finish it, I feel like it'll definitely leave me with a little bit more perspective as well. But I definitely want to leave you with this book. It's called the Kabbalion. It's a study of Hermetic philosophy in ancient Greece and Egypt. And so the book itself, like there's going to be a lot of controversy behind the concept of the book, but I think I was recommended the book just because of my spiritual path and going along a certain spiritual path and being
sorry, I'm still gonna
No. Yeah, I'll send it to you. But also anyone who's in the live, they're interested in the book as well. You know, just that's the name of the book. But I'm gonna type it out as well. But anyways, I just want to leave you with that. If you have any other comments or anything that you wanted to throw out there as we close out.
I guess like my last thing is it's so important to leave space for evenness and what that means, and not trying to polish and purify your human experience. Mm-hmm. Being human is not all good, and it is not all fun. It is not all easy, and like it is important to be patient through the parts of it that aren't, through the parts that feels like it's attacking the narrative that we've constructed around like identity. So please have patience and evenness. That's it. I'm done.
I'm gonna thank you so much for joining the live. I really appreciate your insight. You've had a lot of thoughtful things that you mentioned, and I will hope that anyone who's watching gets a little bit more perspective or insight on their own lives, you know, just learning from experiences. Don't compare yourself. Just looking at your life and what you need to take accountability for, what you need to grow from. Questions you need to ask yourself, even if it's just in small micro changes, if you're journaling, if you're going to therapy, whatever it may be, like just involving that and allowing yourself to grow, and most importantly, trusting the process. So I appreciate your thoughts. I hope that I want to continue to see what you have going on. I'm be nosy. I'm be up in your Instagrams and whatnot. And just hoping that, you know, you continue to develop, and I can't wait to see what happens. And yeah, we just gonna stay in touch. I hope that you know, keep in contact, keep me updated on why, you know, do your thing, wherever it may take you, if it's LA or wherever. I just wish you the best of luck. And
that's the play. I don't know.
You don't know. Life can change.
Don't know.
Life can change.
But I tell everybody everything about myself. It's a really big problem. But you will know where I go because I will talk about it.
Yes, I will see. Do you have a YouTube channel?
That's the thing. Like, I guess I have to make one because I need to invest in long format content, and I think maybe like that is a thing that will start happening in January if I'm being complete.
Nice. Well, I'll be the first one there. I want to see what you got going on, girl.
Yay! Yeah, I need a lot of like structuring, and yes, I will. Yeah, of course. And yeah, yay. I'm out of words.
I think that means it's time to stop. It's time to stop. We've hit that rock, okay? Yeah. But anyone in the comments, if you have any questions, if you want to make any comments before we close out, I appreciate everyone who joined the live. Follow the Instagram. Go follow Bev if you're from my page. Bev's people, come follow me over here. We all about the love-ins and the wellness and the goodness, you know, in the community. So I appreciate your time. It was great talking to you. We will stay tuned on what you got going on. And yeah, stay blessed.
Yay! It was also great talking to you.
Yes. I appreciate you. Yes. I'll take it. All right. Enjoy the rest of your night, love. Good night, everybody. Thank you for joining.
Bye.